6, but getting ready. Okay. It's 1:45.
Need the cards, they're there.
Darren.
I saw one.
Okay, muting everybody now.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Cary Rotary Club. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the friendliest Rotary Club in District 7710. It's so great to be able to see you today. There's one person especially I want to say I'm glad to see so that I can congratulate Gail Cabrera on her Georgia Bulldogs national championship last night. I'm sure she and Scott Schneider will be exchanging some private chat about the Gators versus the Bulldogs, but congratulations, Gail. As we begin our meeting, Howard Manning, can I ask you to lead us in the prayer and the pledge?
Let's bow our heads. Most Heavenly Father, we thank you once again for allowing us to convene in fellowship. Thank you for all you've allowed us to accomplish through the past year. We look forward to the challenges and opportunities of this year. We thank you for all the individual skills and talents that you've given us each, and we thank you even more for the collective impact that we can make neighbors, and our bodies to continue to show our love. I said, household. Snake, we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Howard. Bill Fletcher, can I ask you to welcome our visitors and guests?
My pleasure, President Bob. Let's see. Bruce Howell, do you have a special guest with you today? More than one?
I have a lady that I have known for about 60 years, but we've been married for 56. So I'm pleased to have my wife, Mabel, with us today.
Very good.
Welcome, Mabel.
President Bob, that's our list today.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Mabel, for joining us, and thank you for sharing Bruce with us all these many years. A couple of quick announcements before we get to a great program today. I did want to share with you some events that are going on in the town of Cary in January. One of the things that I've been working hard to create over the last several months is a closer bond between what's going on in town and how our club delivers service. And so I wanted to make you aware of two January initiatives in the town that need volunteer help, and I think fit really well with a number of our key areas of impact. So first, throughout January, the town's Mlk Food Drive provides residents with the tools necessary in order for them to host their own food drives from their the front porches of their home in a COVID-friendly, COVID-safe way. And that will support Dorcas Ministries in particular and food security in the community. That's where the donations will go. So if you have an interest in participating in hosting one of those food drives, as I shared in the link last week, there's a sign up genius where we can just individually get involved there. Also in January, there's a day of service, MLK Day of Service, that the town is hosting out at the Organic Teaching Farm. I always forget the name. Do you remember that? Lookout Farm, I think it is. I'll find out and I'll share it with you before the end of our meeting. But they need volunteers to help with soil refurbishment out at that farm on MLK Day itself, January 17th. So if you love to get your hands in the dirt, that's a great way to do it. And of course, it's another way to support both the environment and some food security.
Temperature is going to be 60 that day, right?
And sunny, guaranteed. Elizabeth Gardner, promised. Great point. Also, can I call on Ron Stanton for an update on chili dinner? Ron.
Thank you, President Bob. As you well know, our chili dinner is our major fundraiser every year. This is our 19th chili dinner, but there's no chili. It's a virtual dinner, as you well know, because of COVID. I want you to reach in your pockets. Many of you are going to be sponsors, table sponsors, so everybody participates in this event. Everybody will at least get 10 tickets. We're going to have a raffle. It'll be a fun virtual event February the 1st. To date, we have raised over $27,000. And over our 19 years, we have raised over $500,000 during those 19 years. Wake County alone has 50,000 children who are hungry. They need food. These funds help support international and local hunger relief. So reach out, find a sponsor, table sponsor for $180, find another sponsor, come on board, join us to raise money to feed the hungry. It's critical this time of year with COVID. There's a huge need to feed the hungry. Thank you so much for your support. See you next week.
All right. Thank you, Ron. and Thank you to everybody involved in the chili dinner committee for continuing to lead a high impact event. Speaking of fundraising, I wanted to just provide a little bit of feedback. I don't want to steal Ernie Faulkner's thunder because he always loves this part. But I received a notification today from the Salvation Army. And I wanted to just share with you the impact that we had as members ringing the bell over the Christmas season. We have, during our shifts, there were donations totaling $15,847 to the Salvation Army. What a huge, huge impact you all made for them and ultimately for the beneficiaries of the Army. So thank you for everyone that contributed. You know, they break down the checks and the folding money and the coins. And there was a pretty high total of checks that I know that there are several members of this club that like to slide in a donation or two in that category. So fantastic work. Couple of upcoming dates. By tomorrow, you want to register for the Rotary Leadership Institute session that'll be held on January 29th in Clayton. Registration closes on the 12th. We spoke several times about the benefits of that program. A district training assembly will be held on February 19th in person at Greenwood Forest Baptist Church. Starts at 9:15, guaranteed to be out by noon. There'll also be online options for that. Yes, Tim?
They have an option. If they don't get 80 people signed up, it'll be all in Zoom.
For the RLI?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. For the district.
Okay.
They don't get 80 people signed up in their person, then they'll do the whole thing in Zoom.
Yeah, the registration does ask what your preference is. Thank you. Ahead of me as always, they're always plugged into what's going on.
You told me to say.
Yeah. Jim Lovejoy, can you?
Yes.
Would you like to make a statement about Memory Cafe?
Today, this afternoon is our fourth scheduled Memory Cafe. However, it's the first one in person. The other three have been virtual because of COVID. I would say at this point, we have more volunteers than we have guests, so we don't need any more volunteers for this afternoon right now. But just want to let you know that we are going to have.
Yeah, well, fantastic to have that get rolling again. Build momentum from here. Fantastic. Thank you, Jim. I do have some sad news to share. I was so proud of my promotion of the hockey game and going to see the Edmonton Oilers on February 27th. Turns out the Hurricanes are doing so well that they no longer have tickets that they can sell to us for that game. So Don Finkbeiner, Eric Schmidt and I will go back to the drawing board. We'll choose a different game a little bit later in the season and I'll get back to you. So we didn't collect any money, thank goodness. But for those of you that had indicated an interest, we'll be back in touch to make sure the new date will still work and you have an interest. We will see the Hurricanes play this year, even if it's on TV. So. Okay. Pat, did you?
It was Good Hope Farm.
Good Hope Farm, thank you very much. Lookout Farmers in South Natick, Massachusetts.
We planted blackberries out there, blueberries out there.
Fantastic. So that's where the soil replenishment will happen on the 17th of this month. Any miracle moments that we would like to share? How about online? Anyone like to share a miracle moment? In that case, I'll move right to our program. Can I ask Dr. Bruce Howell to join me for just a moment? We know this is the part of the program where we ask our sponsor to introduce our speaker.
Yes, sir.
But before we do that, I did want to take just a moment to recognize Bruce. I want to award, I have the privilege of delivering to Bruce a Paul Harris +4 pin for his long-term contributions to the Rotary International Foundation. Not just for himself, but I don't know if you all know that Bruce has created 4 other Paul Harris Fellows, Mabel being one, your son Bruce being one, and who is the other that I'm leaving out?
My father and my brother.
Right. So that represents a cumulative gift of $5,000. And so Bruce, on behalf of our club, I want to thank you for your generosity and congratulate you. If I can now put you to work and ask you to introduce our speaker.
I'll try.
Thank you.
All of us can do that and more. Our Rotary Foundation is a great organization. All of you know about it. 6 months ago, I was reading my Triangle Business, and it said, RDU faces major decisions. And under it, it had a picture, and it even looks like it, of the CEO of RDU Airport, Michael Landguth. So I thought, well, I'll call out there and see if we just can't get him to come and bring us up to date on what's going on at the airport. I was amazed that the former CEO and I had been cohorts. Then I realized I've been retired for 13 years, but this gentleman has been on the job. He's starting his 12th year out at the airport. How time flies. He has 20 years plus in the industry. He's got a bachelor's and a master's degree in aeronautical science from Embry-Riddle Aeronautic University. And I thought, well, where in the world is that? Then I looked it up. It's a tremendously large university, one of them being in Daytona Beach, Florida, and another one out in Arizona. So John, you went to that one, I think. As president, you know, he's in charge of all the operations of the airport, whether it's budget, anything else that has to do with it. He's been hit with the COVID-19 and all the implications that that's caused at the airport. Don't know if you know this, but Raleigh, Durham is ranked as one of the top 3 friendliest airports in the United States. And I think that's huge. He's a proud father of 2 young ladies, and both of them have graduated from college and got jobs. Praise the Lord. With that, Mike, please step forward.
Well, good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? As he said, my name is Mike Langford. I'm your president CEO of the Raleigh-Durham Airport Authority. I do want to tell you, thank you very much for the meal today. Right before I got up here, my wife texted me a question and she said, hey, those cinnamon rolls that we got delivered yesterday, because my wife had knee surgery. So some of our folks that live in the local community brought us some food over and there's some cinnamon rolls. She said, you know where those things are? And she went to bed early. And of course I was watching the football game. One watches a football game, one eats cinnamon rolls. So I don't think I'll have dinner tonight when I go home tonight. Thanks for the last meal. I do appreciate it. So what I thought I'd do with you is I'd tell you a little bit about what's going on from an air service standpoint. A lot of times people are interested about where are we flying to and what does the recovery of COVID-19 actually look like at the end of the day as we work our way through it. Talk a little bit about improving the travel experience. There's some things that we're doing right now to improve the experience for you as a customer. A lot of it is based upon technology and some technology solutions. And then we'll talk about our capital projects. I will tell you, as we kind of got into the pandemic, probably around April of 2020, we really slammed the brakes on our capital program. We had in motion about a $2 billion program that it came to literally a complete stop. So I'll share with you what we're starting to spool up now, what's kind of in play, and what I see for the future in terms of the infrastructure that will be built out. And then we'll try to get into any type of questions or comments you might have for me. So let's kind of start with kind of an air service update. This is a little bit of a busy slide, but if you just follow the line, look at the big dip that occurred. So that goes all the way back to March of 2020. So in February 2020, my chief operating officer and myself were about ready to take to the board of directors a request for about a 9-gate expansion at Terminal 1. We deferred that for March as we started to see this pandemic unwind, and you can see where this thing bottomed out around April of 2020. So in April of 2020, we lost 96% of our customers. It's a staggering number of customers we lost. You could literally walk into Terminal 2, and there were probably 2 people there, of which one of them was me. There was literally nobody that was flying during that period of time. To also put in perspective from a worldwide standpoint, they grounded about 67% of all aircraft commercially flying in the world at the exact same time. Unprecedented in this world. And so at that point in time, it looked pretty grim about how long it was going to take for us to recover and what it looked like. You notice all those places where you see that spiking. Anywhere there's a spike, there's a holiday. And what we saw is the recovery was really not a business recovery. We still haven't seen the business customers come back. It's really been people wanting to go visit their loved ones, wanting to get a little bit of vacation, wanting to get kind of away from this kind of COVID. But you can see we're still down about 20 to 25% in terms of what our numbers were in 2019. You'll hear me kind of talk about 2019 because that was what I call the high water mark. That was the highest number of customers we had that came through the facility. And that was the point at which we had this kind of departure. And so a very rocky road. It's been a long time for recovery. We still don't think we'll have full recovery probably for the next 24 months. But beyond there, it does look very bright. And you only have to look in our local community with all the jobs that have been recruited, all the companies, the Apples, the Googles, the Fujifilms. As I talked to my economic development partners, in 2020, they had a record recruitment year during a pandemic right here in our local community. And I think it has a lot to say about the community, the quality of life. The universities are actually here in our local community. They're powerful. And it really, I think we will continue to rebound. But it's a tough story. And it's been a tough road to kind of move through this. See if I can get it to advance. I might get it to advance. There we go. So a little bit about what our makeup was. On the left-hand side, you see that pie chart. Historically, we were probably a 50-50 split, 50% leisure and 50% business. Our team is kind of forecast, maybe we're at 60-40. I'm not quite sure. Person we're there. A lot of this has been exit surveys that we've actually done. So it's not 100% of records we're getting from the airlines. It's just some survey data that we got. But that's got significant impacts because the lion's share where the airlines make their money, it's not on the leisure. It really is the business traveler at the end of the day, especially for our international traffic. That's what's paying its way. It's really the business customer. And that's why you've seen a lag in terms of the nonstop service by American Airlines to London and also nonstop service by Delta Airlines going over to Paris. Been a little bit of lag. So that was a little bit kind of alarming to us. We would anticipate the business would come back faster than the leisure, but that was not what's actually happened in this industry. So this is corporate sales. You can just kind of look at that number, still 62% down. Again, this just further solidifies that, hey, the business customer really has returned. You listen to Bill Gates. Bill Gates has projected that 50% of business customers will never return. And that's a fairly challenging issue for us, especially because our model is built on those business travelers coming through our facilities. A lot of that is things like the Zoom, Teams meetings, and those types of things. Customers and companies have figured out other ways to continue to connect with their customers at the end of the day. As I mentioned, I met with my economic development partners in late November of 2020. And I told them, I said, can we try to develop a program to try to get our businesses back up and flying? And they said, well, why? Strange response. I said, because it has to have impacted your business. They said, again, we've had a record recruiting year and they haven't had to fly once, which told me that we may need to adjust our business plan as we continue to move forward. But with our business plan, it still is driven by total number of customers coming through the facility. And if you look at our local community, population continues to grow, good place to live, and also businesses continue to grow. So the overall population will continue to grow, even if there's fewer business travelers at the end of the day. This, you can't see this very well, but on the left-hand side are 3-letter identifiers for airports. So the one at the very left is Cancun. It's like a 612% increase to Cancun. I think everybody in the world has got nonstop service to Cancun. Just because you can be outside, and the Mexican government was very, very liberal during this period of time of COVID to allow people to travel. But a lot of those areas where we see positive are all these leisure destinations. A lot of places in Montana, in Wyoming, out west, they exploded in terms of overactivity. Matter of fact, a lot of those smaller communities out west that are in kind of the mountain areas, they've already exceeded their 2019 numbers. If you look at some of the Florida markets have already exceeded their 2019 numbers. So it's really where the leisure market was going. And remember, to a large degree, international service was shut down. So there weren't a lot of alternatives for US citizens to actually travel. A lot of stuff on the right-hand side, Boston, Chicago, those things that are dominated by business, 50+% off at this point in time. Business customers just not kind of returning. Another busy one, but this is trying to give you a perspective. This is not unique just to the United States. You look at that gold line, that is down in the Mexico area. Look at the red line, that's Canada. So you look at Canada, you look at Asia. Asia's kind of that dark blue line down at the very bottom. All of those places, like Canada and Asia, have not recovered very well. But those leisure destinations by region across this world, they've recovered faster than most. And again, all these are indications and signs that this is a leisure recovery than a business recovery at the end of the day. This is our kind of forecast, and this is what we call employments. So employments is a customer coming through the front door. A lot of times we give a press conference, we talk about total customers. This is 50% of our customer base. So employments coming through the front door, deployments coming off. You combine those two, add them together, it comes up total passengers. So this is just the employment, because from a budget standpoint, this is how we look at it. So if you look at FY 2019-2020, almost 7 million in plane customers, 14 million total customers. You look what happened the following year, 1.7. So about 3 million total customers versus 14 million total customers as we went through the pandemic. So it was, felt like I was the Maytag repairman. Not a lot to do and not a lot of people to see at the end of the day as we're trying to figure out what true recovery looked like. What we think we're going to wind up doing our fiscal year, it's kind of odd. We run an April 1 through March 31st. We think by the end of the year, it's almost 5 million or a total of 10 million total customers. Still not quite at that 14.2 million customers. And if you notice, it's really not until you get to 2024 or 2025 that we get to full recovery. So as we had kind of predicted before, we think this is probably 4 to 5 years, even in our local economy, before we kind of get to full recovery in terms of total number of customers coming through the front door. A little bit about market share. It was quite interesting. If you think about in November of 2020, we'd only recovered to about 30% of our 2019 numbers, right? And Sun Country introduced new nonstop service to Minneapolis. I thought, man, that is really strange to be down so much, to have a carrier willing to make an investment in our market. What does that tell you? What it told me is that they believe strongly in the future of this community, and they believe it's going to be a good long-term investment. And they wanted to make sure they got in here before full recovery started to come forward. Because in 2019, we had almost run out of gates. I will tell you, in the early morning, we had every gate, 45 gates, all occupied with aircraft. And we had another 20 airplanes, and these are not small airplanes, things like 737s, sitting on remote parking locations because no gates were available. That's what it looked like. And I think Sun Country was trying to get ahead of that. So that is an additional carrier. We've got another carrier I'll talk about in a little bit. It's going to be flying internationally as well. And so we're starting to see carriers wanting to make an investment in our local community. All good signs, good indications that we are on what I consider to be a road to recovery. On the right-hand side, you can see, we used to be an American Airlines hub. You can see what Delta has done over time. Delta now is the largest carrier, not by very much. Delta Airlines has identified us as a focus city. What is a focus city? Well, if you think of Atlanta, Minneapolis, Detroit as being the major hubs that they've got flowing people, the next level down is what they call a focus city, where they're going to add more destinations than they typically would to a typical airport, but not as much as what you would see at a major hub. And as we went into the pandemic, we were one of about 8. When we came out of the pandemic, we were one of 2. So it's us and Austin were the only 2. And that came from their president and CEO. We're both out there advocating that they see the economic growth in this region as a place they want to be, and they want to continue to make an investment. And what that does is it provides us an opportunity to have more nonstop destinations going to different places to help support our economic growth instead of having to flow through a hub. So that will be a good thing long term. This is a little bit about our route map. So if you think about 2019 and 2020, 57 different nonstop, 5 international. We really thought we could probably pick up another 2 to 3 in the next 24 months internationally, and probably another 3 or 4 on the domestic side. We were really humming at that point in time in terms of actual growth. We reached rock bottom in 2020. We went all the way down to 25 and 0, 25 nonstop and 0 international. Lost all the international. And we've clawed our way back to today to 38 and 2. And pretty soon it'll be 39 and 3 as we add some additional international air service. So slowly working our way back, clawing our way back to try to return this service. So these are some of the markets that did not return. So this is fourth quarter of 2021. So you can see international service going abroad, that had not returned. And a lot of those other destinations you wind up seeing there wind up being business markets. There's probably 8 or 9 of those that are truly business markets. A lot of that's something that, Delta was flying, Indianapolis, the Columbuses of the world, that still is not returning. Again, until that business customer actually returns, I don't see some of those markets kind of coming back online. And of course, our newest announcement is Iceland Air. So this is kind of an ultra low cost carrier. The country of Iceland uses their carrier to really try to bring travel and tourism to their country. And they've got a very unique model because not only do you get to Iceland, but they will also flow you into Europe. So I think they connect to about 26 different cities and communities in Europe. And so you can actually stop at no additional charge for a couple of days, visit Iceland, and then continue if you want to go on to Europe, or if you just want to visit there, you can do that as well. So it's a very unique model. So far, I think, in just a matter of a couple of weeks, I think they've already sold over 3,000 tickets coming out of this community. So it looks like it's been well received, and probably one of those things that's once in a lifetime for a lot of people to be able to travel to a place like that, but also provide us some connectivity. One of the things that we heard from the major CEOs from across the country is that they believe 2022 is going to be a banner year for Europe. And while American is going to reintroduce their service in late March, early April timeframe, Delta's decided to push that all the way to the end of August. And that's a little concerning because when you start international service, the worst time to start it is September. That's the worst time to start it. Best time to start it is usually May 1st. Why? Because not only you get the business traveler, but everybody wants to travel to Europe for the summer, and you pick them up as well. So they missed that opportunity. We actually put an air service incentive program in place. Board of directors approved that. Basically, it's a combination of fee waivers and marketing support. Somewhere to the tune of about $500,000 is what we put into this year one to make this successful, to attract a carrier like this to get them into the market. So hopefully this does 2 things for me. One is provide some additional connectivity for the summer months because we don't have the Delta service. And second of all, hopefully gets Delta motivated to want to put that service back in sooner rather than later. So we'll see if we're successful in that track as we kind of move forward. I'm going to try. Okay. So again, they're going to start service May of 2022, 4 days a week. I think it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So pretty nice trip pattern. If you want a long weekend, if you want to stay for the week, again, tickets are already on sale. You can go to Iceland.air to be able to see that. So pretty excited about what we brought to the community, and hopefully it's a good indication of what the return of international service looks like. So let's talk a little bit about kind of what I call improving your travel experience. So you can't see the header up top there, but it says new concession model. One of the things that happened during the pandemic is we lost about 7 or 8 different restaurants. And a lot of the concessionaires are there. They were losing thousands of dollars literally a day. And they essentially said, we're done. And they walked on us. Part of the transformation of this industry is that it takes capital to build that infrastructure. And historically, the way the deal was actually worked is a third party would bring their capital, they would build it, and they would actually operate it at the end of the day. A lot of these companies don't have that cash anymore. And so what we've decided to do is actually get in the business, and we're partnering with a lot of our local companies. We're going to be the developer. We're going to be the investor at the end of the day. What it allows to have happen is those companies in our local market that may not have that equity, that capital to put into building infrastructure to argue, we can actually do that. You do what you do best, which is an operator. You're the restaurant person. You're the person that knows burgers and fries and how to do those types of things. But you partner with us, provides us a higher return. And again, we can control the construction because we're in the construction business. I mean, we build hundreds of thousands of dollars every year of infrastructure. We know how to build things. So it's a little bit of a kind of a unique model that's starting to come forward, but it should produce a good result. We hope to take to the board of directors, hopefully next 60 to 90 days of what those concepts are and who they will be. This is a model that's common over in Europe, not as common here in the United States. There's probably only 2 other airports that are doing this, but we hope to provide you a better experience. And hopefully what you'll see is more local brands that you're familiar with, that when people come from out of town, they get to experience North Carolina and what North Carolina is actually known for. I'm gonna get this clicker to work one of these days. The other thing we've done is a little bit of what I call an innovative business solution regarding a ghost kitchen. Anybody know what a ghost kitchen is? So a ghost kitchen is, think about this, if you're sitting at home right now, you're gonna order food, it's gonna be cooked in a kitchen. You're not going to a restaurant to sit down. It's the same type concept. So we've entered into a deal with a company called Reef, that they will develop a ghost kitchen. So we've got all the infrastructure there. They will bring 8 concepts. 5 of those are going to be national, 3 of those are going to be local, where you can actually use your phone. So if you're standing in the security checkpoint line, waiting, you can order your food right then and there. What they'll do is they'll cook it and prepare it. It needs to be cold, it'll go into a cold locker. It needs to be hot, it'll go into a hot locker. And all you've got to do is you walk up there with your phone. The point of sale transaction is going to be your phone. You're not going to meet with anybody. You're not going to talk to anybody. It's all done by your phone. You go to your locker, put the QR code in, and it pops right open. This is initially kind of a short-term solution to try to solve a little bit of a food desert that I've got, because we've lost so many concepts. As you work your way down C concourse, there's limited ability there. Also, the staffing shortage has hit the concessionaires significantly. They are struggling significantly. It's not only from a financial standpoint, be able to pay these folks, what it's required in today's environment, but also the COVID as well. So this potentially could be a relief, because a lot of the staffing required for front of house is not needed. They can pay a higher wage from a salary standpoint for the chefs. And so hopefully it's a product you will use. I know all of you are probably ordering groceries or food at your house. This is a very similar concept, and hopefully a benefit to you, that while you're waiting in line for something else, you can order your food. So when you're ready to go, you can pick it up. Either go on board the airplane or go into the gate hold room areas and enjoy a nice meal. And it's on one ticket. So if you want to order 8 different things, I don't know, like a cinnamon roll or something, if you need that, you need to take that home to your wife to get out of trouble, you could do that. But it'd all be on one ticket and all done through your phone to make it easy. So some technology solutions that we're kind of working through. Originally, we thought we'd have this ready to go by December of 2021. But once again, the labor shortage, the contractor who's awarded the contract to actually do the construction could not find personnel to actually do the construction. The vendor had to release that contractor, hired another contractor. So keep my fingers crossed, by spring of 2022, we'll bring some new food concepts on board for the community as they fly through. Couple of things, if you're not familiar with this, we do have an online reservation system. And if you're willing to go to the online reservation system, you'll save anywhere between 10 and 15%. You can also secure yourself to the product that you actually want. So if you want to park on the deck, back in 2019, we closed on a regular basis, During the holiday period, we are closing. It's kind of strange. It's a Friday, Saturday timeframe instead of during the week, during the business customers, like we typically did in 19. It's really over the holiday weekends is when we're seeing closure kind of in the deck. So you can book online, save yourself money, and guarantee that you can get into the spot that you actually wanted. And again, we also provide, in the future, we'll provide some opportunity to link that with food and beverage, maybe discounts that could be provided as well. Also down the concourse, all the vendors have gone to a contactless experience. If you want to pay with your phone, you can do that. There's little stickers that are on most of the tables that you kind of point your phone at for a QR code, and the menu pop up. Anybody's gone to any restaurants, it's a similar process you're seeing now, kind of outside the airport itself, but they deployed all that to try to make it as seamless and easy for you as possible. The other thing we did is we partnered with a company that if you go to our website, no matter where you're going to travel, anywhere in the world, you can actually click on that country, click on that state, and any of the protocols, requirements for COVID are all outlined for you. So you don't have to figure out, so in the state of Michigan, are people getting quarantined? You have to have the COVID test. I mean, how does all this work? We've got it in one location you can go to. I think we were the first airport here in the United States A lot of the major carriers have a similar product that they're using. Again, trying to make sure you're fully informed before you go to a destination, what you need to do from a COVID standpoint to make sure you can be safe. And of course, we have also got a new technology we brought online. See if it'll come up. Translogic. So Translogic, you can download this app on your phone and it'll track all of our buses. You're parking in Economy 3 and say, how long is it going to take for Economy 3 bus to actually reach the terminal? You can actually track that on your phone and it'll tell you. So again, if you make a quick pit stop or something, you know exactly how much time it's going to wind up taking. So a lot of different things that we're doing right now from a technology standpoint to improve the overall experience when you come to the facility. Now let's talk a little bit about kind of our capital program, and as part of a revision to a budget that we did in July of this year, we've started to take our foot off the brake and started to put our foot back on the accelerator. Again, we had over $135 million capital program as we were starting 2020. Basically slammed the brakes on. We only did about 20 million in 2020 just to complete some projects. There was really no easy way to kind of shut down. We are now starting to start back up. 3 projects, Park Economy 3. We know that that's going to be necessary to continue to make that expansion as customers continue to come back, have sufficient capacity for parking. Our Terminal 2 checkpoint expansion, hopefully having that online by May 1st. That's our objective at the end of the day, as long as TSA can find the staffing to staff those checkpoint lanes. But I will tell you, in 2019, we literally wrapped outside out of that checkpoint all the way around the entire building until the tail caught the head. It was pretty difficult. We are going to move a couple carriers, probably the April 1 timeframe, over to Terminal 1, try to free up some additional capacity in Terminal 2. But again, that checkpoint hopefully provide additional relief. And of course, our signature project, we call 5 Left, 2, 3 Right. If you look at the picture down at the very bottom, kind of a colored, I don't know what color that is, purple or blue or what it might be. But that is a representation of where our new runway is going to go. So the existing runway, what we refer to as 5 Left, 2, 3 Right, 10,000-foot runway. You're sitting in Terminal 2 and you're looking out to the airfield. That is where that runway is located. It's really at its end of life, and we need to rebuild that runway. We're going to push it about 535 feet to the west. And when we do that, what it's going to do, it's going to open up Terminal 2 for an expansion. So we will probably add about additional 19 gates to Terminal 2. If we were to go build a 3rd unit terminal, you're talking probably in excess of $1.5 billion. So this is a very cost-effective solution, building a new runway in a new location that allows you to expand Terminal 2. Combination Terminal 2 expansion, Terminal 1 expansion should provide us enough capacity for the next 25 years for this community as we continue to grow, and you start seeing companies like Sun Country and companies like Iceland starting to put their claws in this community because they know it's going to continue to grow and they want to be part of that. And of course, we would look for some support. We'll take collections before I leave, I'm sure. Any amount will be good, but really need your help more from a support to write to the Federal Aviation Administration, also Secretary of Transportation. You didn't realize this, when you fly to RDU, you pay a 7.5% sales tax. You also pay what they call a segment fee. That all goes to my uncle. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Uncle Sam, you familiar with him? Yeah. You know about him on April 15th, I'm sure. But all that goes up to the federal government. They put it into what they call a trust fund, and then I show up on their doorstep and ask for that in the form of federal grants to come back to me. The problem is this is a distribution system for the entire country to have a network. So that's why you have a network. The problem is it's not been very fair to us in our local community. Put things in perspective, for every dollar you contribute into the system, we get about 7 cents on the dollar back. You look at small airports across the country, small airports, anywhere between 60, 80 cents on the dollar. Some large airports, what they call a large hub, they're probably getting 15 cents on the dollar. And as I've told the Federal Aviation Administration, we've been paying in this program for 40 plus years, and it's just like Social Security. I'm ready to retire. I'm ready to build a runway. I'm ready for us to get our fair share back, but that doesn't seem to be the way the game is being played right now. And so what it requires everybody to get on board, write letters, and try to have some influence on our Secretary of Transportation to do the right thing, make an investment. This is a $375 million investment. This is an expensive proposition at the end of the day. And all we're asking for is our fair share. It's all we're asking for at the end of the day. We did get a little good news, and so as part of that kind of Build Back America, that infrastructure bill was just passed. Looks like we'll get about 73 million. That is parceled out over 5 years, so equal installments. We will use that to pay for a portion of it, so it's a nice down payment. But just like a down payment, there's still a mortgage that needs to be paid, and that's the remaining balance on that infrastructure of $375 million that's got to be paid at some point in time. Again, that's going to be funding the replacement of 5 left, 2, 3 right. Again, depending upon what day I talk to my engineer, it's somewhere between 375 and 425, just depending upon which direction the wind blows. So an expensive proposition, but a necessary proposition. But again, it requires advocacy from the local citizens to speak up and be part of that program. We have gotten the entire North Carolina delegation, both House and Senate, for all of Wake County and all of Durham have already written letters. We're getting Regional Transportation Alliance, who represents, I think, about 23 different chambers, over 100 different businesses. They have also written letters going to the Secretary of Transportation. Everybody trying to get on board, say, we're just asking for our fair share. That's what we're asking for at the end of the day. Anything people can do in that space would be helpful as well. And I think the question, so I'm going to get timed out. I got 38 seconds, right? So any questions I can answer? Yes, sir.
There's apparently some discussion going on 5G networks.
Yes.
And I think Raleigh and Charlotte got some award for that. Can you tell us more about how that's helping or not?
Yeah, so as part of the approach system, if you come in with low visibility, they have what they call a radar altimeter. So basically the radar, it sits a beam down that then says, hey, aircraft, you're at 100 feet, you're at 200 feet. By having that in low visibility conditions, they can continue the descent down to what they typically call decision height. And so they can break out of the clouds and actually make the runway. Without that, what they call, they raise the minimum. So you will probably come down and not be able to see the runway, which means the aircraft's got to go around. It's going to go into holding till either that cloud base moves away, thunderstorm moves away, fog moves away, or you're going to go to an alternate. Now, I will tell you the number of times out of the year that actually occurs here at RDU is pretty limited. And usually it's kind of in that October timeframe is when we kind of get our fog. It's probably less than 10 days out of the year. Still have a threat for thunderstorms, heavy downpours that occur that you want to try to get as low as you possibly can. Because if the pilot can't see the runway environment, he's got to go missed approach. So I don't think there's a significant impact, but it is a concern. Obviously, they've been doing this over in Europe for an extended period of time. I don't understand enough about that in terms of what did they do over in Europe to allow this to kind of put into play, and why aren't the telecommunication companies, why aren't they that concerned here domestically? That's a huge liability, I think, that they've got. But we're working through that. Really, the lead in that space is going to be the Federal Aviation Administration and FCC. Those are the two. We don't develop, control, install the navigation systems. That's all done by the FAA. So it's something we're monitoring, trying to figure out how we can help. Right now, I think it's got a limited impact, but there's a safety concern that both the manufacturer, FAA, FCC have got to get worked out first. Yes, sir.
What's the status of the Quarry, proposed Quarry?
So no proposal there. It's under contract. And so they're going through the permitting process right now. I would anticipate probably next 90 days, they'll probably get their permit. Other question? Okay.
Mike, on behalf of the Cary Rotary Club, I just want to say thank you. I want to present to you some cards. A local artist, Jerry Miller,
Okay.
founding member of our club, brought these for us.
Okay.
And we'd like to give these to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
Appreciate it.
much.
Thank you, Mike. What a fantastic presentation. An awful lot going on, and your perseverance through tough times and leadership has been critical. So thank you for all that you do out at the airport. I want to recognize a couple of our members here. Harold Bennett and Mark Lawson will be celebrating anniversaries as members of our club. On Friday, the 14th, both Harold and Mark will celebrate their 2-year anniversaries as members. Also online, yes, that's right, with platform. Also online, I saw Chris Walker at one point. There he is. He's blocked off at the moment, but on the 14th, which I guess is a week from, yeah, there we go, a week Friday, or this Friday. No, let me get it straight. January 11th, which is today. Chris celebrates 17 years as a member of the Cary Rotary Club. So thank you, Chris. Congratulations. Next week, we'll continue our travel theme. It's going to be a timely presentation. Paul Sossman has arranged for Elizabeth Karen, who's the operator of Outland Travel, to come and speak to us about how COVID has changed how we travel. So we heard a little bit of a sneak preview on that today. We'll look to hear more. Our meal next week will be baked grouper and wild rice with broccoli. I've never been right on a baked grouper prediction, so I'm hoping that next week will come through. It's good to know that it's fresh, right? It's not back there already waiting for our consumption next week. In 2 weeks, Bruce will bring us our speaker again, Lauren Libby, who is the president of Trans World Radio, will come and speak with us. So Bruce, thank you for making that happen. I want to thank everyone for coming. Mabel, thank you for joining us today. We're so thrilled that you were with us. Mike, thank you for your presentation. Again, gave us a lot to think about and appreciate when we're maybe a little bit impatient walking through those lines at the airport to know how much goes into getting us in and out safely. So thank you for joining us.
Before we leave, if you get him to sign something, you can get through real quick.
Oh, really? We've got a little bit of a special, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. I will see you on that, Mike, before we go. We're going to have one of our online participants, Charlie Konigsberg, is going to lead us out on the four-way test. So we'll give you one moment, Charlie. Unmute you. You can have that.
Yes. Ready for the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Charlie.
Let's start over. Four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
Supposed to happen.
Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, Charlie.